Okay, my name is Angharad Lee, and I'm the director of To Kill a Machine. I've been involved with this piece since 2012, when it was staged initially up in the Arts Centre and in Swansea and in the Sherman. And since then we've had a lot of rewrites, and luckily enough we've had a lot of opportunities with different actors actually, so we've had lots of actors input into it with that development process, so lots of readings and whatnot. We've explored new characters, whether or not to bring in a female character was one of the biggest, I think, decisions, and we decided against that really. So we've introduced some new characters which I think have helped with the arc of Alan's story more than anything, because it's quite a personal journey, this whole piece really, rather than maybe investigating the work that Alan did, which I guess the film does that for us, if you've seen the film. We're exploring his personal journey more than anything, so I think the exploration of his relationships with new characters has really helped define that for us, yeah.
So what was it about Catherine's writing that you liked and drew you to the project?
Catherine's writing, I was just so taken aback that this is her first piece of professional writing, or her first full-length play. I was totally blown away by that, because the purity in it, I think, I think if you come to see it, it's something everybody will tune into. There's a real purity about her writing. We didn't need to do a lot of edits either, which I found fascinating really for a new writer, you know. I don't know whether that's because of her scientific background, I don't know, and the way she sees the world, I'm not sure, but it's the purity of it, I think. And it just rolls off the tongue. She has a real grasp of characters' tempo rhythms and the way that we speak. And I think if you speak to any of the actors, it just rolls off the tongue. It's very easy to listen to, which is always great. So yeah.
So what's it been like working with the new cast?
Yeah, you get the new cast. It's interesting because you get hooked, don't you, on the first cast, and at first we were kind of adamant that we wanted to retain that and those individuals, but that wasn't possible. But we found some gems of actors. We've got Rick Ye with us now, and Fran as well, and Rob, of course. But Rob was involved, I know, way back before I was involved in one of the first readings. So it's lovely to reintroduce Rob to the fold. It's just brought a total new energy. It's always great, and it just keeps me fresh as well, which is always a plus, I guess. So it stops us from reinventing the wheel. You know, the elements of it are staged exactly the same, but because we've got a new cast and we've got a new set as well, it just stops me from reinventing, and their input helps me with that as well, which is great.
So you've added a real visual and physical sense to the play. Where did that come from?
I guess when I direct, I'm quite visceral in the way that I approach text. I kind of when I read a play, I always see it first. I always picture it. I always see it in images. I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. I'm not quite sure. But I was fascinated with the transitions more than anything from one scene to the next. The scenes are quite short and sharp, beautifully written, really short and sharp. And they have to play so many characters. I decided to explore what the transition was for those characters. That was my starting point, rather than the text itself. And what journey the actors would have to go through mentally, emotionally, and then physically to achieve that, to be able to achieve that. So I think that's where the physicality of it came from, more than anything. And you see a lot of images being repeated as well, hopefully, when you come to see it. And that, for me, stems from the fact that I feel like his life was fated, and that things come full circle, I guess. So that was another way, the physicalization of that was another way for me to explore that.
Okay, so the play was written by a woman, and you're directing it, but the cast and all the characters are male. What's that been like working?
They're a nightmare. No, it's great. Do you know what? It makes no difference at all. It really doesn't. You know, I think it's more to do with what the energy is in that room and those people and those bodies in the room, whether or not they're male or female. If I'm totally honest, it doesn't make any difference to me. I think when I'm casting, I always try to make sure that I know that those actors are gonna get on. That's half the battle, I think. So yeah, it's lovely actually. I'm really enjoying it, you know, there's no egos in there, which is really lovely as well, so yeah, it makes no difference.
Okay, so the last question is, why do you think it's important for people to come see this play?
Why do I think it's important for people to see Catherine's play? I think the reason I love it so much is because it explores for me Alan in this play challenges what it is to be one's authentic self. We know what he did, you know, you've read the books, we've seen the blogs over the past couple of years, we've seen the film, we know what he did, but our interpretation delves a little bit deeper than that into how do we retain a sense of self and authenticity, I think. In the society that we live in now, as well as the society that he lived in all those years ago, you know. But I think for me that is the big. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I've just done an opera, which is quite similar actually. It's maybe something that I'm going through. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think how do you place yourself in the world and retain that sense of identity? I guess, yeah.